Top producers have access to the world's best music studios, engineers, synthesizers, analog gear, instruments, etc. And so in order to get a professional sound as someone that's producing beats from a laptop at their house, in their office, bedroom, or whatever, it can sometimes seem almost impossible to do that without some massive budget behind you. So today I'm going to show you guys a few things that will significantly improve how your beats sound to help them sound as professional and high quality as possible. But before we get started, if you could leave a quick little thumbs up, I would really appreciate that. See if we can get this video to 1,000 likes. But yeah, let's get into it. First thing, if you're just trash at making beats in general, the tips I'm going to show you today will definitely help, but you're really just going to have to improve as a producer overall. I don't want anyone to think that if they're making like beats that sound like this, bing blam, shimmity blam blam, bam bam, that just watching this video is magically going to make your beats sound incredible. But these tips are still really going to help you improve your beats, and eventually as you get better and improve, your beats are going to sound very professional. And also I'm going to take these sunglasses off now. I only have a few pairs left, so if you were thinking about getting them, stop thinking and just, go do it, because I'm not going to have any more of these soon. Alright, so one way that you can instantly make your beats just sound better in general, and a real tell that someone is like an amateur producer versus someone that knows what they're doing, and that is your mix. And I have a full masterclass video which I'm going to link at the end. But first tip related to mixing is leveling your beats, and I'm actually just going to insert a clip from a masterclass so I don't have to, do this all over again. So typically what I'll do is I'll just solo each sound. So let's just start with this guitar right here. I usually like these instruments to hit around like 12 or 15 dB. Then I'll start adding in the other sounds. I think they sound good together right here. I just want that kind of in the background. Just when it comes to your instruments, I do like to do around like 12 to 15 dB. However, it's really going to be based off of the kind of type of beat you're trying to make. So there's no like just set number that you're going to use for each of these. I could totally change up the sound and make this arcade sound be the loudest part. Now it sounds completely different. And now we're going to do the same thing for the drums. The loudest drum is going to be the kick. It's really the driving force in your beat. And then right after that, it's going to be the 808. Sometimes I'll have my 808 louder than my kick. It really just depends on the beat. Some people will say you have to have the kick be the loudest part. It cannot be the 808s. But a lot of 808s kind of have elements of kicks. A lot of them are combined with kicks. I would say it just really depends. And right here, I just went and centered it. So it's right down the middle of the mix. I'll bring the 808. And I'm just turning down the 808 so it's not clipping. Generally, you do not want your sounds to go over 0 dB. So listening to this 808, I think these instruments are a bit too loud for my taste, so I'm going to turn these all down. So that's one of the best ways to just make your drums just stick out and cut through the mix, is just to turn down your melodies, and they're going to hit a lot harder because they're not competing with those sounds as much. Next sound that I feel should be the loudest in terms of your drums is your snare or your clap. So I think this is a pretty good level right here. Next sound we have is the hi-hat. And I kind of like my hi-hat to sit more in the background. So let's turn this down, it's way too loud. My open hats and my percussion instruments, I usually like them to kind of sit in the background a little bit more. Specifically with open hats though, what I'll usually do is turn it down a little bit, and then play with this spread right here. And this just pushes it out into both ears a little bit more. So feel free to try that method, and then there's another method in the full masterclass video as well. Level your beats, that alone is going to make them sound 10 times better. Now the second mixing, like just total requirements, is cutting out the low end on your instruments aside from your bass lines, 808s, and kicks. Some guitars on this beat, some arcade. Just add some sort of EQ, and then you're just gonna want to cut out everything up to like 200 hertz is typically going to sound pretty good. And the reason you're gonna want to do this is because those instruments operate in those lower frequencies, and so you don't want anything getting in their way. Let me just play this beat real quick. I'm gonna show you guys what it sounds like without the low end cut out on all the instruments, and you know, the opposite, obviously. What do you think I was gonna say? And I'm gonna show you a different beat. That wouldn't make any sense, right? All right, I'm just gonna play it now. So overall, it just sounds a lot cleaner. The 808 hits harder, and just your mix sounds a lot more professional just doing that, which takes like 2 seconds. When you're layering sounds or selecting sounds in general, you want to pick stuff that is not exactly the same, especially if you're layering it, as all that's going to do is it's going to introduce kind of like mud to your beat, which just means like low end and distortion, phasing, etc. So right here, I've just got this sound. It's called Clouds. It's from my new bank, Summer Nights. And so let's listen to it without it being layered over another sound that's really similar. Super clean. Super nice. But now if we layered it with the same sound, I'm just gonna use the same sound to show you kind of what I mean. If you layer it with a sound that's, you know, slightly similar but mainly has like a few differences, like for something like this is a very soft sound, so maybe a pluck might sound good, or because it's kind of like got a deeper tone, maybe something a little bit brighter. So right here I just added this sound Luxor. So that sounds a lot better. That's a big key when you want to get professional sounding beats, is your sound selection. What is this other sound missing? And then kind of looking for a sound that has that within that sound. I feel like I've killed that explanation, like a soccer player when I score a goal. Ah, my knee! Alright, so this next tip, this one's kind of a fun one as you get the chance to be really creative with this one, but this really levels up your beats and just your like sounds in general. That is adding what are called textures. And the way I like to think of textures is they're little things that you can add to your beat that aren't going to throw the artist off. It's not like a new melody or anything like that, but they're going to enhance your sound, make your sound fuller, more interesting, etc. So I'm going to show you guys 3 really cool ways to add textures to your beats. They're very simple, so this is an easy thing you can throw in your beats immediately. Now all you're going to do, you can take your phone, stick it out the window, just record what's going on if you live in a city, if you live in a farm, if it's raining outside, etc. Right here I just have this city like ambient sounds from Splice. And all you're going to do with that sound is you're just going to put it in your beat. All you want to do is just turn it down kind of low, and I'm going to show you the difference it makes. Adds a little something to your ear. Now, another really simple method that you can use and this is going to seem like not super simple, but it really is, especially once you do it once. Take your sample, convert it into an audio file. Hold that, Control-Alt-C, and then you're just gonna press start here. Then it's gonna convert into an audio file. Click reverse on that, flip it around. Then you're gonna wanna go in and just chop up like every bar or so. That's typically good. And then once that's done, you're just gonna reorganize these against the sample. That way it's facing the correct direction, so it's moving in the same direction as the beat originally was, because we reversed it, right? And I already did this over here, so let's just pull this back in. And then one thing that you can do is click on it, pitch it up all the way, and then just right click right here, go to automate, click volume. That's gonna bring up this little thing right here. And what I typically like to do is pull it down like this, or you can also pull it down like that, or you can also, you know, make a little curve. You kind of just have to play around with it and see what sounds good. This is what ended up sounding good for me right here. Put it on the mixer track and then just cut out some highs and some lows. That way it's not too high of pitch, and then you're just gonna want to turn it down a little bit, like right here. And once you do this, this will feel a lot easier. I know I'm just throwing a bunch of steps out right here. The next thing you can do, get a percussion loop. You can either keep it the same direction or reverse it. I like reversing it. Cut out a little bit of the lows, a little bit of the highs, and you can add a texture to just some basic chords like this right here. And feel free, you don't have to have it going all the way through. You can cut out the texture so it only is playing at like a certain rhythm. And that can be cool as well. Final tip, and this is very important as well, and that is going to be, you're gonna wanna use good quality sounds. I'm gonna show you a way to make average sounds sound a lot higher quality, but really, you know, sounds are kind of like the most important tool as a producer, as if you don't have access to any good sounds, it's going to be very hard to craft a good sounding beat. And so I would highly recommend, if you can, you know, saving your money, you know, I don't know, mowing some lawns, selling, you know, I'm just kidding, don't do that. We're gonna have to beep that out. And you don't need like 30 different VSTs or anything like that. If you can just get one good one, you're going to be able to improve the sound of your beats, just because you'll have easy access to, you know, good sounding stuff. As you guys know, I pretty much only use my own banks. Occasionally I'll use different sounds from other VSTs, but that's because I spend like months creating these banks. And so one of the pros about having banks is they're not that expensive. They speed up your workflow because you're able to just pick out sounds that you actually need and want to use. And so that can kind of be an issue with certain VSTs. You might get a couple good sounds, but then you might have like thousands of sounds you don't need. So that's definitely an option. On to actually showing you guys how to make cheap sounds sound not cheap. Right here, I've got the legendary FL keys. Some people like how FL keys just sounds on its own. Nah. First thing you're going to want to do, go to Alt-R if you just type in your notes like this. Randomize, it's going to change up the velocities, make it sound a little bit more realistic. Alt-S to strum. You're just going to want to do a light strength. This is just going to sound like you're actually playing it. Let's get into effects now. So here's just what it sounds like without any effects. For a second I was like, whoa, this FL key sounds way better than I remember it. Alright, so sounds cheap and not that great. One little thing you can use if you do use FL Studio's fruity stock chorus setting, and you can just play around with the presets and stuff like that in here. So listen how much better it sounds just using this default effect right here. Another effect that's great is reverb. Reverb livens up everything. One of my favorite presets on here is just the cathedral. I like it. It sounds really big and spacey. You're going to want to go and cut out some of the lows. You don't need reverb on the low end. And up in the left corner, it's going to show you how much you're cutting out. So I would cut out like around 300 or so. You can go up to 500 if you want. So already with just that, it sounds a lot better. And then if you start combining stuff, like let's combine these two. So compared to when I turned it off, sounds a lot better. Another one that's great is Flanger. I really like this one as well. And it has a lot of great presets that you can use. And then combine them all together. You get some cool sounds. So really, you gotta dial in the effects if you want to get stuff that's not super high quality to sound good, which can be annoying, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. But anyways, guys, I hope this was a very helpful video. Check out the mixing masterclass right here. If you don't want to watch that, check out this other video, and have a great rest of your life if I never see you again. Hopefully I do though. Peace.